Rock and Jay West and I can't remember how many of us, Sean Casey, a few of us, went out and got our Screen Actors Guild cards to do stunt work in this movie. So here was my first movie where not only was I in it, but I got paid well for it. I got my name in the credits. And so that's something later in life, again, in my 40s, I'm suddenly doing Hollywood productions. I haven't done anything huge. I haven't had a speaking role, but I've had some auditions. The more you audition, the more they know who you are. So I'm hoping to still land that one role that kind of maybe helps me break out and get some more experience. I will always continue to work with Argo One. We are constantly churning out ideas, and I have so much fun making movies. Obviously everyone wants to make money, but if we don't make a dime, that's fine with me. We all have a vision, and we all enjoy creating that vision and making it come to life. And that's something that I can't live without. I have a day job. I actually have 2 day jobs. But if all I had in my life was my day job, then I don't even know that I could live. I have to have a creative outlet. So I've got wrestling, and I've got acting and writing and helping make these productions that, to me, the day job just facilitates, hey, I can pay my rent and pay my bills in order to go out and do these other fun things. Because the creativity is what I live for. So making a movie, I've actually just been thinking about this recently. Like, I'm just on a set again. I just want to be doing something. That process of writing and blocking and acting and seeing it all come together is just one of the most satisfying and exhilarating things I've ever done. And I'll keep doing that until they put me in the ground. Like I love working as an actor. I love starting with an idea and watching that idea bloom and become something. And it's fun to play a different character, like hooks in wrestling. I'm in real life, I'm probably the least violent guy you'll ever meet, but going out there as a wrestler, I get to play a different role and become somebody else for a while. And the same thing when I act. I got to be a cage fighter. I got to be a competitive eating champion. I got to be a bodyguard. I got to be a construction worker. Like I got to be a biker in a ball stretch, by the way I look, right? And I'm always looking for that next role. I've auditioned for a couple different Netflix productions, and I didn't get them, but that's okay. You're not going to get everything you audition for, but it gets you the experience as to how an audition should go and what you should do for an audition and what you can improve, and it also gets you out there. They might not pick you for this role, but they might remember you later. So every project I do is something I learn from and something that I build off of.
See, again, that ties into what we were just speaking about a little earlier, which is perseverance. I know that one of your best friends, not just in wrestling but in life, is a tremendous competitor named Hardcore Heather Owens. I know she loves the band Hatebreed, so do I. They've got a song called Perseverance that I absolutely love, and when I think of you, I think of that song, Hooks, because throughout the years you have persevered. And everything that you're just talking about, it really absolutely unequivocally resonates with yours truly, David Barnabas Spector. I mean, you and I, we perhaps are different individuals, but we absolutely have run on a parallel course. We are the same age. We've also broken into the business in a rather unorthodox manner, and we're always looking to do something different. We're always very much a Renaissance man in regards to always finding new challenges, new things, new mountains to climb, new challenges to conquer. And when you talk about getting involved in film, I know David J. has his Hollywood stroke. I would like David J. a lot more if he didn't associate with individuals like Cody Hawk and Shauna Reed. who by the way, believe it or not, Hooks, as much as some of the fans will have a hard time believing that you were willing to come on and speak with me here today, in the not-too-distant future, I know you're going to be shocked to hear this. I'm kind of shocked to be saying this. a future guest here on Radio Dark will be none other than the pretty little psycho Shauna Reed, because she and I have a lot of things to talk about, to hash out, and to work through, to say the very least. But in regards to Hollywood and opportunities, David J. isn't the only one that has connections.
Hang on a second, real quick. I want to stop you right there, Sean. You talk about somebody that's got an interesting path with Shauna Reed. I'm just going to put it out there, too. Another person who, one of my best friends, I'm sure the FGW fans remember before the world got crazy. I don't know what was going through Shauna Reed's mind when she was constantly out there antagonizing me in the ring and actually attacking me a couple times. So I'll be listening to your show with Shauna Reed, because this is someone who's one of my best friends and has suddenly become a different person and come out there and caused a lot of trouble for me. So I'll be anxious to listen to that episode. So I encourage everybody to listen to that. But go ahead with where you were going.
You see, Hooks, true friendship is born sometimes from having common enemies. And you yourself have just mentioned that, we share a common enemy, and that filthy, low-down, no-good Chris Ledbetter, and we share an issue with Shauna Reed. So just something for you to think about. But in regards to opportunities in Hollywood, opportunities in television and radio, David J., of course, has the Hollywood stroke. He has pull there. He's not the only one that has connections, Hooks. There's a certain individual named yours truly, David Barnabas Spector, who also has ties to radio and television and folks that work in the movie industry. So David J. doesn't have to necessarily be your only outlet. And perhaps, if you expanded your view and your horizons, rather than you being a background extra, perhaps under the guidance and tutelage of yours truly, you could be front and center, featured as the star that you truly are. Just something for you to think about. But in regards to you and I, and kind of where our communication began to break down, was during an incident at Future Great Wrestling. And I'm almost reluctant to bring this up, but I feel that it's necessary. I feel it's necessary that we talk about this, because as painful as this is, and this is very painful for me to talk about, I feel that we need to discuss this, so that, being the two distinguished gentlemen that we are, that we can work through our differences and once again get to a point where the friendship that we had, it's still there. It just needs to be, a little coaxing and, a few logs on the fire to get it going, but it's still there. It's still there. So you had been in a long-term, dare I say, rivalry with William Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
At both FGW and Battle on the Border Wrestling. You've had some pretty violent matches, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, we've spilled blood, we've hurt each other in a lot of ways. For anyone not familiar, and I think most of them will be, William Wolf, we should mention, not only a fellow pro wrestler and not only a rival at times for me, but cousin, my blood family. So yeah, continue where you were going, but I just want to make sure people know that.
So William Wolf, someone that you were at odds with, who had done some not very pleasant things to you, and had been a constant thorn in your side. So myself and my client, the Prophet of Pain, Amos, had an issue with William Wolf. that rapidly escalated. None of my doing. It just, sometimes things happen. You don't plan on it. Just by happenstance, things happen. So, in that regard, there was a situation with a baseball bat where William Wolfe was struck in the head. I was concerned about his well-being. And obviously he was rushed to a local medical facility. And due to my concern for Will, his family, and the wonderful fans of Future Great Wrestling, I wanted to make sure that Will was okay. And you know, it's very interesting. You know, sometimes just the stars align and things just happen just at the exact right time. It just so happens that right around that time, you know, because I was curious about my own family history, my own family tree. So I'm sure you've heard of Ancestry.com.
Mm-hmm.
So I, you know, shortly prior to this baseball bat situation, I had submitted to have Ancestry.com give me information about my family tree, my family history. And in the midst of me feeling just horrible, just absolutely terrible about what happened to Will, I received that information from Ancestry. And I, of course, was distraught about, again, everything that happened at the FGW Arena at 190 North Brookwood Avenue in Hamilton, Ohio. But as I was just haphazardly glancing over the forms that I was sent by Ancestry.com, I happened to glance over a certain portion of the forms. And quite frankly, I was shocked. Because on those forms, and I really had to do a double take, I'd say even a triple take. I had to take a moment and really look over these forms. And what they stated, and hear me out. Hear me out.
Oh, I'm listening because I'm anxious to hear. I'm anxious to hear what you say here. So,
it turns out that even though it is a distant relative, a distant connection, a distant bloodline, but there is a connection. It turns out that based upon the information that Ancestry.com provided, that I found out that I was an extremely distant uncle of William Wolfe. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I saw. I couldn't believe that at that point in time, and that made me feel even worse, to think that that was my nephew in the hospital. And I was his uncle. I'll bet it be distant, but there's my own flesh and blood in the hospital. So, being the kind-hearted soul that I am, I went to the hospital, and an extremely rude nurse tried to cause issues and delay and tried to keep my nephew in that hospital longer than he needed to be, but I knew what he needed. He needed family. He needed fresh air. He needed recuperation and a much nicer environment than that hospital. So I signed the paperwork and I discharged my nephew, who for some strange reason only responded to the name Billy. I don't know why. I figured if it makes him happy, then I'm happy. So I took him out of the hospital.